Hello, Sktchy YouTube. We are live. It's been a while. It's nice to be here again on a Saturday with you. Who's here and where are you watching from? I'm sitting in central Germany and happy that my internet connection is working because half an hour ago I was offline. So it's good to be here. Hello, Sktchy. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Okay, I see 11 people are here. Awesome. It's lovely to be here with you. Hi, Shannon. Nice to have you here. Yeah, we've just been hanging out with the kids, and I was trying to get my Wi-Fi working again, and it's working now. So that's a relief. I don't know what happened there. Hi, Hilda, and Watch for Owl. Yeah, and if you haven't heard about the Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge, then check it out. There's also new things for the people who did the June edition of the Ink Naturally class. And I'd really love you to join me for this Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge. So it's going to be taking a bit of the flair and excitement of challenges like Inktober and 30 Faces, 30 Days. But it's just going to be 5 days. And I'll be using natural inks, and I encourage you to do the same. If you sign up for Ink Naturally, then there's a whole newly structured how-to section on how to make different kinds of inks, including the ink that I'll be using today. It's the very ink that I made in the instructional video. So sign up for the Ink Naturally class, and on Wednesday next week, the 25th, the Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge will be starting. And I'm really looking forward to it, to be drawing together again. And you know, it's just fun when everyone's drawing from the same portrait, same reference every day. And if you sign up, then there's instructional videos for each of the portraits we're going to do. And so maybe you even learn something. And this is super cool. Check that. There's a special offer at the moment that you sign up for a Sktchy art class and you get one free, which I think has never happened before, right? So sign up for my class, Ink Naturally. I'd love to have you there, and sign up for something else too, because that would be really cool. If you're into ink and you haven't done Inktober yet, you could do Inktober. That would be pretty good. And I'd like to mention something else. On Instagram at the moment, have a giveaway for this Elder pen that I made, and I think it's super cool. In case you didn't know yet, I really like using stick pens, broad edge calligraphy nibs, and I've made this for someone. And if you follow me, like the post, and tag a friend, check that out on my Instagram account at Dylan_Sara. Then maybe this could be your pen, and you could be, you know, drawing, writing with it, whatever. That would be super cool. So check out that on my Instagram account. Sign up for the Ink Naturally class, and it's going to be so much fun. So here's a little snippet of, if I do this right. Oh, here, cool. Thank you, Sktchy. There's the link. I don't know if that's clickable while you're watching YouTube. Maybe it is. But check that out. Now, if I've done this right, we're going to watch a little video together. So let's see. There's this wintry sense of coziness when people are lighting the fire, and as a result of that, there's a lot of charcoal around. So this is from a block of oak, this charcoal. This ink will flow. So this is my gum arabic. Yeah, you just notice there's a different consistency. In the case of the charcoal ink, stick pen. This is such an amazing black. So yeah, it's such a nice ink. The block of oak that this charcoal came from was from a barn fire, and here is the barn. And this was where I was living 2.5 years ago. I watched this barn burn to the ground in the middle of the night, and yeah, I foraged some charcoal from there. No people or animals were hurt, but it was pretty intense because at one stage I considered having a studio space in this barn, and then one night I just watched it burn to the ground. And then I collected a whole bunch of charcoal from these nice oak blocks that had been lying next to the barn, and now use them to create art. And I love this thing about natural ink making, that the story of the materials of the place, it's flowing into the work that we make. And so everything drawn with this ink kind of has the story of the burning down of this barn, which, you know, fire is such a intense element, and a lot of people coming from Australia, like every fire season, especially the last couple, it's just crazy what's happening. But you know, fire is good. Fire keeps us warm. Fire burns and purges, and it's so it's really interesting to be working with that as an element in the ink making as well. Hi Jane. Good question. So this was posted in the Ink Naturally class feed, and it should have been an email as well. If you don't want to get the buy one, get one free class, there's a discount code for everyone who's done Ink Naturally before. So this is a new Ink Naturally. It includes the original lessons, but there's new ones being added to it. So it's a new purchase. 25th. Okay, I think it's until the 29th that the buy one, get one free is available. So yeah, you can do it after you get paid. We are going to have the privilege and honor today of drawing Seth. Seth is a firefighter, so it's just like perfect. All this soot on his face. It's just a wonderful reference, a hero. Thank you very much, Seth, for the work you do, protecting and working with the land and with fire. We've been chatting a bunch on Instagram, and Livy, Seth's partner, posted the reference photo. So you got the link below the video to get the reference photo of Seth. And Seth is a veteran who's using what he learned in the military to now motivate people in the fight against fire. So it's super interesting, and what an honor to be drawing you today. Thank you for your work, and thank you for the opportunity to draw you. And yeah, we've been chatting about a few things, which as we're drawing, I get to. Seth is here. Seth is here. Cool. So here's Seth. Seth is on Instagram, so when you've done your work, you can hashtag Ink Naturally and Seth at Seth Parish. I think you can put that in the chat, and everyone who draws you today can just tag Seth. That'd be awesome. So it's so great to have you here. Thank you to you and your family for the opportunity to draw you. Right. I want to, hang on, here we go. I did like a warm-up sketch this morning. Oh, I'm going to turn off notifications on my phone so you don't have to read my notifications. Okay, I did this warm-up sketch of Seth this morning, and then Icon, my 7-year-old, added this really cool thing to it. So we were just sitting having breakfast, and I was like, oh, I'm going to draw Seth already. And and this was really cool to do like a preliminary sketch and already to have a sense for the portrait and to have spent some time, gazing into Seth's eyes, and just looking already at what's happening. I don't always do a preliminary drawing, but it was, and I don't often work with graphite pencil, so it was just a really cool kind of warm-up thing to do. And here's some of my charcoal from the barn fire. And I've mixed it, as you saw in that snippet in the beginning, unless you missed it. I ground it super fine and mix it in with gum arabic, and now have this wonderful charcoal ink. And this is different to the other natural inks we've made because it's a particle. You need binder to hold it together on the page, and the particles, they settle to the bottom of the ink, so you've got to mix it up before you use it. Otherwise, you've got the charcoal at the bottom and the water on top. So it's good to give it a stir. All right, are we ready? Are we ready? I have a stick pen here. I am drawing on aquarelle paper from Hahnemühle. It's a super heavyweight paper. I love it. And relatively affordable as far as watercolor papers go. Brushes, see what I do with those. But let's just start drawing. So I thought, having already drawn Seth this morning, that I would have this really clever approach and I would know what I'm going to do. But we'll just figure it out as we start drawing. I don't know if you can hear my kids downstairs. They're pretty loud. I can hear them. Seth and Libby have a kid too, super cute. Seen some nice Instagram posts. So they'll be able to hang out in the chat as long as the kid lets them, I guess. All right. Let's draw Seth. This super clear edge at the rim of the helmet, I might just put that down. It's interesting to see how this ink handles on this paper, because it's a bit of a cold press, so it's not super flat. I actually collected this charcoal with Icon. So he's now 7. I guess he was like 4 at the time. And just got a knife and scraped it off of these burnt blocks of wood and collected it. And so I have a stash of charcoal from this barn fire. And yeah, Seth, I mentioned no one got hurt, and he said in his line of work that they consider their work as a success when no one gets hurt. So it was really good that no one got hurt. But friends of ours had bought the place and they were renovating it, and they were like putting so much love into it. I think it was an electrical failure or something, which resulted in a fire. So I've got this line. I'm kind of, to some extent, I'm translating directly across from the reference here. So just kind of flicking back and forward. It's interesting that the eyes are in the shade of the rim of the helmet. So I was considering maybe like a light wash, because this is amazing black color with this charcoal ink. So not all of our natural inks are really as intense, especially the botanical inks. They often have like they're great for doing ink washes and stuff, but this is really dark, which is cool. But if you kind of spread it out, it also is a wonderful grey. And the fun thing about this charcoal ink is that because it has these tiny particles of burnt wood in it, it has these little facets to the pigment, and you can get some interesting kind of surface lighting effects with it, which is fun, little extra. I want to be careful now not to draw into this space, because if I put my hand here, then I'm gonna have a bit of a mess. The helmet is like, steps out a bit. Like with a hat, I would just kind of intuitively extend this line of the side of the face up into the hat, but we see here this helmet is, got some extra space there. I love the inkiness of this charcoal ink. Like there's this blackness or something, like India ink or something has this real inkiness to it. It's so cool. Jane, interesting that you should ask. So the tutorial on this ink is in the new Ink Naturally class. So there's the ink making procedure. It was kind of in the first round, I just kind of added it into the classes, and now there's a really well structured how to make ink section, which I talk a bit about how I came to ink making and kind of my thinking behind it, and then go through different procedures of how to make ink. So there's the evaporation technique, there's this particle inks, and what else is there? Grate and squeeze. There's like, I think, 6 different ink making techniques in there that are applicable for different materials. So that's a cool thing about the new Ink Naturally class, that it has this really structured approach to the ink making side of things. And I've got this giveaway going on with the pen, and it would be super cool if someone who's doing the Ink Naturally class wins it, because I can't make that a condition of the giveaway, but it'd be nice to know that someone from the Ink Naturally crew is using the Elder pen. So this is an Elder pen. I just love these. It gets such interesting shapes in them. It's so cool. So the broad edge of the pen. So you've got this super fine when you get on the point, and I love this about calligraphy pens. You get these super fine lines, and then you can really thicken out, and it's perfect. Like here for the jawline, there's this facial hair there, so there's a really nice thick, like a natural thick contour, which is cool. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of going to have to stop here and somehow work this way, unless I have something to lift my hand on. Uta, that's a cool question. You can really find things to forage and make ink with, I think, at any time, like even now. Really heading into winter, but there's really great berries that for some reason don't get eaten and stay on the vines or the trees. Leaves, you can use leaves. Careful not to use poisonous things. Or if you do, you've got to do it with care. Like there's privet is awesome. If any of you are familiar with privet, and one of its names in German is actually Tintenbeerstrauch, which means inkberry bush. And Privet Drive is in Harry Potter. So you've like privet. Where have I heard that before? Harry Potter. And privet, I don't know. It's like it stays there all winter. It's awesome, and it has such a nice dark, intense color. It's poisonous, but if you're aware of the fact that it's poisonous, you're not eating it. Store it away from kids. Like it's an ink I wouldn't use with my kids necessarily. If they're a bit older, maybe, and I can trust them not to put things in their mouth, which at the moment is not the case. And they like to experience the world through their mouths. Yeah, so privet's cool. So in the Northern Hemisphere right now, it's kind of like, oh, nothing's flowering anymore, really, I think. but there's still things to find and use. But I love spring. When life starts to come back and things start flowering and all these leaves return. And there's so much in spring. Summer's awesome. It's so I don't think it's restricted to any particular season. It's a really great interseasonal activity, foraging to make ink. Still too early to do the fun stuff in June. I don't know. Berries, berries ripen in autumn generally, and then there's all these cool things you can do in autumn. So I'm thinking, like 20 minutes in, I would like this ink wash thing for the shadow, so I've got to like commit to this shadow shape here. I've like set up a lot of the kind of peripheral stuff at the moment. Yes, Hollyboy. I have not used hollyberries. I thought you meant Holunder, Elder Dawn. I haven't used hollyberries. I may. I just saw some today, but I'll look up and see if they're poisonous. But I don't know. Some berries are really not very juicy, and they make more of like a paste, so that can be tricky. But it's try things out and let me know how it goes. Tag me when you post your results, or just send me a private message, whatever. Yeah, so I want to do this ink wash thing. So I got to do it now to give it a chance to dry. I've got a cup here, got this cool brush, which was a birthday gift a few years ago. Just gonna mixing this in here. I don't want it to be very wet because it's going to, if it's too wet, it's going to take longer to dry. So we'll just try this. And maybe a kind of bit dry brushy could be cool. Have a feeling now looking at this that I've kind of could bring the really dark shadow a bit lower. This kind of looks very high at the moment. Saw someone just gave me a thumbs down. If you're here and you're having fun, give me a thumbs up. Not that there's any, I have a problem with thumbs down, but whatever. I don't take it to heart. But it'd be cool to get thumbs up too. So I'm squinting down now to kind of see, how's this kind of shadow space going to be looking like? That might be cool. I might just keep using the brush to fill in more shadow areas and hope that I'm in roughly the right position. So I can use the earlobe here as a guide to where I want to put the nose. And even if this is kind of rough, it's okay. So it's cool having this kind of like layered effect if you've got like some brush work with line work on it. I think it adds this nice kind of textural feel. This brush is wants to be wetter. That's a bit better. So maybe I could come back and do some, like in the helmet and stuff, do some bolder brushwork, but I want this to dry so I can draw on it. So let's leave it at that for now. It's not much, but it's just add a nice texture, and this kind of dry brush stuff adds a bit of randomness to it to give that a sense of detail, which is not really there, which is something that I really like. So it looks like there's something going on, but it's just like messy brushwork. But somehow it creates this feeling of, I don't know, life. That it's not so sterile. Deborah, I did mention what kind of paper I am working on. This is Hahnemühle aquarelle paper, and I'd show you the front of it, but I'm working on it at the moment. I use it a lot, and I have a few versions of it. This one looks like this, and it's really heavyweight paper. It's a German brand. Coincidentally, the place that makes this paper is just like an hour's drive from where I live. But you can get it all over the world, and it's nice because it doesn't warp so much when it gets wet. It will still warp if it gets really, really wet, but I like that it doesn't warp so much. Hi, Francis' daughter. I'm glad you think it's amazing. That's nice. Olivia's here. Olivia. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad that you're here too. So Olivia, or Livy Livette, I think, on Sktchy, shared this awesome photo with us. So thank you very much. It's just so nice. Maybe someone can tell me if this is a Sumi brush that someone gave to me. Here it's, I don't know. This one is made in Germany, but it looks like it, doesn't it? That's what I thought, and then I was like, oh, it's made in Germany. But I guess it's in that style. Thanks for asking, Margaret. But maybe someone else would like to jump in and talk about Sumi brushes, Sumi ink. So that gave a little opportunity for this to dry a bit. Looks like I smudged some ink over here. Olivia Peters, are you, or Livy, are you drawing along as well? I saw that you did a warm-up sketch, which was awesome. So I saw that on Sktchy this morning. And I was wondering if your little eye's giving you the chance to draw as well. That would be pretty cool to be drawing together. Oh, Henry, that's nice. Should I say it again? Hahnemühle. I use Hahnemühle paper. Yeah, it's a paper, a regional paper, a paper that I like. Hahnemühle paper. Ah, cool. That's cool that you're drawing along as well. So this is interesting. There's like an implied form here, which now becomes the playground for drawing. Oh, and it's already almost dry. That's cool. For drawing the rest into. I always find it interesting the way time distorts. I'm glad you like that, Henry. I think I did this in not more than half an hour. And now I've been at it for like 20 minutes. And I don't know, time's just so flexible. Like a native German speaker, I've been here for a while. I've been able to pick up some nuances of pronunciation. Always love drawing a bit of facial hair. You can just kind of be random with it, but it just like flick around some cool marks, similar to the dry brush effect, that kind of implied detail, and you don't have to be too accurate with it. If you get the general form about right, then you're usually pretty safe. And I like these areas, like here, we've got this area where you can just kind of flick around and not get too hung up on the individual placement of each follicle. So I think the moustache is a bit thicker. So yeah, firefighters, thank you. I I don't know if many of you have been kind of aware of what's been happening in Australia with fire season. It's terrifying, and there's been, I think, a pretty lax political. It's climate change, and it's also kind of political decisions which are just kind of exacerbating the dangerousness of the situation. It's crazy. So the government's always looking to save money. So there are like less professional firefighters, and then relying a lot more on volunteer firefighters. And the last fire season in Australia was just outrageous. These crazy mega monster fires, and I think the same kind of stuff is happening in the States and Russia and Brazil, all over the place. And I guess there's a lot of contributing factors, but thank you very much, Seth, for your service and being out there, doing what you can. And the last fire season, I was just thinking, like in every village in Germany, there's like a volunteer fire service, and it's like a bit of a club. People go there, hang out, and they do a lot of stuff for kids. And I just have this sense that the fire service, firefighters, it's going to be increasingly important work in the years to come. That's cool, Seth. It's humbling for me to be able to draw you in this moment. Like, I just have such a big respect for the work you do. And as I was just saying, I think it's a super important profession and or hobby for the volunteers. It's yeah, thank you. And it's cool that Olivia's drawing too, and that's awesome. So here to the mouth of this line, so we've got the top lip in shadow. So this is really classical kind of lighting, overhead lighting. It's cool with the helmet. And then under the nose, the top lip. This is pretty classical kind of lighting setup, I guess. So that could be cool for the ink wash again, but I may be able to drag that out with the pen instead of using the brush. Is my paper in focus? Just looking. My hands look like they're in focus. Okay, I hope you're getting it. No, yeah. Thank you, Olivia. So recognition to Olivia and all, everyone in the background for being so strong. You're gone for weeks at a time fighting fires. That's intense. Thank you, Olivia, and thank you to everyone who's in the background enabling people to do this super important work. I saw some of that, like in the reporting of the bushfire season in Australia. Just people are out and they're fighting fires days after day, and just totally on their limit for so long, and it's hard to comprehend for me, who I have a pretty comfortable life, really. These people go out and they're just for so long out there serving and working and doing all they can, and then there's, and especially the volunteers, they're out there and they're not getting paid, and somehow the household needs to keep running at home, and it's intense. Yeah, so that carries on nicely to that they're allowed to leave their work and have the support to be out there fighting fires. I've jumped up here. I was actually down here at the mouth. So the line where the lips meet is this super nice dark contour. So you can really give that a lot of line weight. It's quite dark. So there are certain areas this is such a good, nice dark black ink. So the areas where we can really use that blackness. So that line there is really nice. Just going to do a little test down here. If I push this around, yeah, I think this is going to work. For that upper lip, I don't want it to be totally black, like the like that line. It's a really nice V shape between the lips here. So that ink I have on there, I'm going to lift some of it, and I'm just going to push it around. Maybe I could actually fill out that form and then lift the ink with my paper towel, which is a handy tool. It's totally black. It's just a bit, could go for a kind of design choice and make that really black, but if we carefully do this, should just be able to lift some of that. Yeah, that's cool. And once that dries, bring that darkness back to that line in the middle. So that'll dry first, and I think that's a nice dark value there. That's cool. So working with the ink in this way is really different to the pencil approach that I did this morning. The way you can layer up and achieve your values is it's a bit different. It could work in a similar way, but this time around it's different. There's a really cool initiative, which has probably been, it's initiative, it's been going on since before Australia existed. But with the intensifying situation and climate change, worse bushfires and stuff, there's more acknowledgement and respect of the traditions and knowledge of traditional landowners. So there's the Fire Sticks Alliance network with a dot between each word on Instagram. Check it out. I recently read Dark Emu, which was an account of how Australia was when the settlers first came, and everything that got messed up by the European approach to land management, if you want to call it that. Because since forever, the traditional landowners and the indigenous people had worked with fire to manage the land and to reduce the fuel for the fires, and there was just some really beautiful examples, like it's in their storytelling, which is passing on all this important knowledge that there are certain times of year where they know that the wind behaves in a certain way. So they know that if there's a burn, that later in the day that the wind's going to come around and reduce the fire, and they were able to work with fire in the land in such a way to to really care for the land in a way which made it bountiful. And certainly the myth that we're told growing up, like in Australia, that it was this barren, hard, harsh land, that's the way it's become. But from those accounts from the explorers and settlers, there was like this paradise, it sounds like. And the traditional landowners just knew how, they are part of the land, and knew how to work with it. And it's something that needs to be respected and learned from and passed on. And the kind of European fear and approach to fire has in the long term been pretty harmful. And Seth said that there are tribes and agencies doing the same thing in the States, bringing bringing awareness and teaching about the traditional ways of fire and land management. So I think that's awesome that that's happening, and yeah, thank you to all of those people, because we want a world to live in, and for our kids to flourish in, and for things to grow. And I think Indigenous knowledge and Indigenous sovereignty is it's totally it should be a given. These peoples who have developed with the land in such a way, and being this is a pretty full-on topic for me, I guess. Having grown up in a colonial country, I haven't lived there for about since 2004. But there are things changing, and there's a lot more that has to change, and a lot more acknowledgement and respect that needs to be given. So thank you for everyone who's fighting for that, to protect the land that we all are a part of. And in Australia, it's just so intense. And there's this real, growing up in such a dry, hot land. And I remember when I first moved to Germany, it was so lush. And even Germany, there's been a drought here the last 3 years, I think. And I'm like, this feels like my childhood growing up in Australia. It's just so dry. And things are changing here. I visibly, I can just see it from my experience of living here the last few years. And, it's, I think, important that we all do what we can in whatever way to support those and become active, support and amplify people's voices, and be active in a way that somehow shifts the awareness to the environment and nature, which is part of what using natural ink is for me. It connects me to nature, and I know the experience from many people that just when you spend time in nature, that you just, it's beautiful, and start to understand your place in it somehow. And I love working with nature in a way to make art. So I would like it protected, and I'm very thankful for everyone who's doing so, and to everyone who's using natural ink. It's super fun, and it's cool to have you here. Even if you're not using natural ink, that's not a guilt trip. But I just think when we become aware of certain things, it's good to, do what we can. I noticed when I was drawing this morning, there haven't been any comments for a while. Back to the drawing, there's this lovely asymmetry in the nose a bit. I think I actually have a bit of a crooked nose. That sometimes some people have pointed out to me. And so there's a bit of asymmetry in the nostrils here, because often symmetry is just like our go-to way of thinking about things when we structure a drawing of a face, which is a frontal portrait. But the nose and the eyes, there's a bit of asymmetry, which is beautiful. So it's nice to take note of those kind of things, and work it into the drawing. So I didn't mention that when I was drawing the nose, but maybe you spotted it as well. I really like this right now, just here, with this soft grey below. And it's just a really simple value structure. You've got the black, the white of the paper, and this grey in between, and I like it. The last time I was in Australia was 2.5 years ago, and we were driving out of Adelaide towards Melbourne, and it was pretty hot, and a rubbish truck dumped its load on the freeway because as the driver was driving along, noticed there was smoke coming out the back. So he just dropped this entire load of trash on the freeway, and we just watched it light up. And so it was a pretty quick decision rather than the whole truck burning. And it spread nearby, but it was close to a town, so the fire services were able to come and get control of it pretty quickly. But I was with Icon. He was 4.5 at the time, and for him it was such an intense experience to see that that fire just light up on the road in front of us. So at the edge of the road there was this like grasslands, and so it pretty quickly kind of spread to that, but it was all kept under control. There's a lot of soot and stuff on the face, which is awesome. I like freckles and facial hair and wrinkles and all these things that we can incorporate to make the face feel authentic and like a face. And in the same way, this dry brushy stuff over here creates this implied detail thing. Just like adding some of these smudgy, dirty, I could even smudge this a bit, start getting a bit more texture in, like using my hands sometimes. Peggy's using Acorn and Iron Ink today. Excellent. Nice to have you here, Peggy. And I'm glad to be here, Dawn. Yeah, what Sktchy said. So amongst all this drawing and talking, you can get 2 classes for 1 at the Sktchy Art School, and why not use it on mine? And for anyone who joined late, on the 25th, there's going to be a 5-day Ink Naturally portrait challenge, which is starting. Where this style, I'm actually focusing, or my kind of idea behind it, in the classes for the the portrait challenge was like my kind of sketchbook approach, and I've made this really cool alcohol-based ink, which I use to refill my calligraphy pens. So it's like an ink that you can take on the road with you and refill into fountain pens, into markers. And so that's a new exciting thing that I wanted to share, because it makes the natural ink more portable, and so you can take it and draw with it anywhere. And so I've used that a lot in the upcoming lessons, and had to focus on drawing without a preliminary drawing, because it's a way I like to work. And oh, this is interesting how different these look. Just kind of looked back here. Wow, so different. Drawing without a preliminary drawing, it's just such a good way to focus and learn, and so that's kind of part of the thinking behind the upcoming lessons. And someone, I think in the last live stream, Polly maybe, asked about that kind of approach of drawing without a preliminary drawing and how to work on that. So that's a theme that I've kind of had in mind as I've created the new lessons. So I hope that that will be helpful for you. And you don't have to use natural ink in the Ink Naturally class, but you could. But you can, I think it's applicable for any medium that you use, like the way that we look at things. And so you don't even have to use ink. You know, you can use whatever you want. You can use pencil, watercolors. But signing up for the class, you'll have access to an awesome reference for learning how to make your own ink. which is a process which is translatable to many different plant materials, and really have a great time exploring the possibilities of the world around you and the colors that we have immediate access to, which are part of where we live. So it's something I love, and I'm really joyful to be able to share that love with you, and the more people connecting to nature and making natural ink, the better. So please join me in that class and the challenge that's coming up. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, Hilda's using black walnut ink. Says it's the easiest to make, and it's amazing. You just I don't know. I think black walnut is a bit different to what grows in Europe, but it's like an ink that makes itself pretty much. It's amazing. So it's cool that you're using that. That was actually the first walnut ink. Was the first natural ink that I made. And it's the walnut husk. It's not the nut itself, but the outer fruit, which usually just doesn't get used. Foraging is fun. Hilda says foraging is fun. It's so good. I say it's fun to do with the kids, but it's fun when I'm alone. And just as I'm getting around, I'll be like, oh, what's that? I wonder if I can make ink from it. And it's just there have been certain times in my lives, maybe, in my life where I've learned something which just like shifts my perspective on the way I move through the world and perceive things. And learning to make natural ink was one of those things, where I just started looking for the color and everything. It's so cool. It's so much fun. Foraging is fun. A little shout out to the volunteer firefighters from Dawn. So blessed to have them and their incredible families. Yeah. At my where I grew up, there were a lot of people in the volunteer fire service. Some of my friends. There's a lot of cool detail reflected going on in the helmet. I don't really think I have time for it now, but it's fun. I wonder if I should give some attention to the other side of the face. Still missing a few details here. Maybe I'll just get carried away drawing this shirt collar. It's a nice line. Committing to the second eye. So I mentioned earlier, I could have just drawn it then, but let's make this line darker since I'm talking about the eye. Let's just re-establish some of that value structure down there. The eye, so it's not symmetrical, which is nice. So it's nice, if you can capture that without overdoing it. So kind of take care. It's just a tiny bit. The millimeters make such a difference. Just if you don't know what a millimeter is, I don't know if inches have such a thing as like these kleiner subdivisions. Oh look, I hope I haven't been putting my head down too much and you can't see what I'm doing. I'll go over here. Beard cam. Yeah, the eye. So it's the corner of the eye is a bit lower, or it may just be the soot that's kind of giving that impression. So it looks to me. So, and where is the corner of the eye? It's like the outside of the nose. Maybe put it a bit too close. So this is always a great kind of, oh, I didn't want to do that. Like checking up with the other eye and the edge of the nose to find where you want to lay the line for the other eye. There's a bit of something going on there. Just darken that up a bit. And I like that this eyebrow is also considerably lower. Really such a amazing expression on your face, Seth. Oh, we're almost out of time. If anyone wants to ask any questions at the end here, feel free to ask. I would love it if everyone watching signed up for the Ink Naturally class. That would be so cool, because it's nice to have a lot of people in there, and just the community and people doing it together is so cool. And I'll just mention again, this Elder pen, which is a special one, could be yours. Check out my Instagram post doing a giveaway, and that will be announced on the 24th. The Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge is starting on the 25th. Depending on where you live, the first class is probably going to be released on the 24th. So you won't be able to use this stick directly in that challenge, this stick pen, but maybe in the next one, who knows? So join that giveaway. Check it out on my Instagram page. Share it with all your friends and anyone you think would enjoy this kind of approach to ink making and portraiture. There's a bit of a, I know there's some reflection. I just kind of made this up over here. Just had this compulsion to make up highlights in the eyes when they're almost black. The highlight would be a bit lower and it's not that bright. And on the other side, it's like, I can actually see, I guess it's the sleeves of the yellow jacket. There's a bit of a highlight in there. Maybe my dad is a portrait photographer, and I remember him telling me if there's no reflection in the eyes, people look dead. I don't know if that's, is it necessary to really have to stick to things that we've learned like that? Because if I was just drawing what I was seeing here, I probably wouldn't have put a reflection in there. This is maybe this is my dad's highlight, because he put that into me, but now it doesn't match up with this one. Maybe I'm going to get rid of it. Don't look dead. Definitely look tired. Or do you look tired? I don't know. You just look amazing. You're awesome, Seth. So there's a lot more darkness around the eyes here, which I've kind of not really kind of established yet. I don't know, maybe right at the end, maybe just get bold with some of this, I've just got a couple of minutes time to make something happen. If it's still wet, we can lift a bit. So the thing about charcoal ink is if you don't have binder in it, just like drawing with charcoal, it will smudge right off the page once it dries. And the binder acts as kind of a adhesive that's kind of gluing it to the page. Maybe we can just finger paint a bit over here. That'd be cool. That'd be a good way in a couple of minutes just to look like you've just been fighting fires. Dawn wants to ask about my guitars. Kira plays more than me. We have a bunch of instruments. I have a hurdy-gurdy. If you don't know what that is, look it up, hurdy-gurdy. And a friend of mine made it, and it's amazing. Maybe one time I can show you. It's incredible. This instrument is just a work of art, and there's so much possible with it. I play didge, drum a bit. I've played around with the guitar sometimes, but I'm not especially proficient at it. But I just kind of like playing, like making sound, like music. Like singing. Melissa, you have one of my classes. Can you add new? What do you mean? Can you add new material? The way for making ink, you can use all sorts of things. Experiment with what you have available, and make sure it's not poisonous. Always educate yourself about what you're working with, and because nature needs to be respected. As there are things that are not meant to be played with. I guess some dangerous things out there, particularly yew. If yew berries, even the wood of the yew tree, like I wouldn't want to make pens with yew branches, even though it's such a beautiful tree. It's poisonous, so take care and be curious, because there are so many things that we can use. So try things out. We're almost done, but there's some shadow under the neck here. Maybe I just add some stuff. Smush this around a bit. Going a bit over time, but I think that's okay. Are Seth and Olivia still here? Thanks once again so much for sharing this with us, this moment. And I wish you all strength and safety, and all of you, not just Seth and Olivia, but in particular, you're our muse and inspiration for today. So thank you so much. Take care of each other. Be kind. And keep drawing. This is cool. Could also do some really, wet inky stuff here. It's something I haven't really done in this drawing, but the way the charcoal ink responds is quite amazing. So join the Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge and make charcoal ink with me. I'd love to see your work done in natural inks. And I'm not sure if there's much what I could say right now. There's a lot in the values stuff here. It could be much darker around the eyes. Maybe brush a bit more to darken that up. It's almost like these highlights. And brushes, you can spend a long time drawing to achieve an effect, and sometimes just a little bit of brush work, you can just do it super fast. So even though we're over time, just let's, what can we do with this to just, this is like left the realms of detail and exact observation, but it's starting to just add a really interesting quality to the portrait that we've done. Since I'm no longer doing weekly live streams, I'm going to do them once a month. It's the plan. Just going a bit over time. And maybe catch the lag. And if anyone wants to ask any more questions, ask away. Oh, these wet on wet effects are so cool. It's like perfect up here in the reflections of the helmet. And then it becomes like watercolor painting. with this, put a bit more ink in there. Use these final moments as a chance to just totally play around with it and add something different. So keep an eye out for charcoal. If it's winter where you are, there are people with wood fires around. You know, get the coals from a fire. If there's been a bushfire near you, when you get out and have the chance to visit the sites, you know, maybe there's some charcoal that you'll be able to take and repurpose, make art with, and just let it flow into your work and inspire and inform you and get you thinking about what you can do to protect this wonderful planet that we live on. All right. I think that's pretty much it for today. Thank you all for being here. You're all awesome. If you want to take advantage of that 2-for-1 offer on Sktchy, BOGOTHX, you can get 2 classes for the price of 1. Check out my Instagram account and enter the giveaway for this pen. And yeah, join us for the Ink Naturally Portrait Challenge starting on Wednesday. I would love to have you there. And share your work, your pieces of Seth. You can tag Seth and myself and see what you've done. And thank you to all of you. It's always a pleasure. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. We'll go and see if my kids are already asleep. I doubt it. Yeah, so jump on that link for the new class. So much information. It's over 20 hours of ink making and portrait making. Yeah, let's make ink and draw portraits together. Thank you to all of you, and have a wonderful rest of the day, the week. See you next week. Come draw with me on Tuesdays. Yeah, see you soon.